Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Egypt. That's right, baby. Welcome back to yet another T Martin Airlines flight. We are going to be taking off from Cairo International Airport today. We are going to be heading southwest to Giza, and we are going to be checking out the pyramids. So, the Great Pyramid of Giza, it is the first ancient wonder of the world that was built. It's also the last remaining one, so I'm excited to check it out. I'm excited to see what it's all about, see the sights and sounds of Egypt. I've never been out here, obviously been fascinated with it, would love to visit one day. And it looks like we've got some cool little buildings and deserts and stuff on the horizon here. So let's go ahead and let's get ready to fly and see what we're working with. So this is going to be our Pipistrel, I believe is what this thing is called. Let me take away this map here so you guys can see the plane. Very, very small. Oh my goodness. Not a lot of room at all, no storage back there. I believe this is what you call a light sport aircraft, so they're, you know, a little bit more lightly made. They're a lot cheaper. They're kind of like a beginner aviation option, and I mean, it looks pretty interesting. We've got some nice big doors here. It looks very manageable for a beginner. I do think these things crash way more than any other aircraft, but we're just gonna pretend like we didn't know that. I'm also gonna go ahead and turn our transponder off because I don't want to listen to ATC. But yeah, man, this is kind of a cute little thing here. I feel like it's gonna get the job done. It's it's got some long wings, almost looks like a glider in that sense. But we'll see what we can do. So we're gonna go ahead and release the parking brake. Go ahead and give her some throttle, and let's see if we can take off on out of here. We're going to be heading to the southwest, which is exactly where we're pointed right now at the end of our runway, which is perfect. There should be some interesting points of interest as we go this way. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what we find. I definitely don't want to only focus on the pyramids, even though those are obviously the main focus of the episode. We're going to check out Cairo. Of course, I've got some fun facts for you guys and stuff. We're going to see the Nile River, which you should be able to see. Is this it? This has got to be it right here, yeah. So Cairo has two islands in the middle of town. I believe these might be the two. There it is. Cairo, Egypt on the horizon here. This is actually the biggest city in Africa. And it's, I think, the 6th biggest city in the world or something like that. Or like the whole metro area. So like the city itself has like 8 million people. But the whole area that surrounds it is around 20 million, which is pretty big. We turned off our transponder, so I'm not quite sure how he's talking to us still. But yeah, so it's a massive, massive city built on the Nile River, and it's been there for so long. Like long before recorded human history. It's sometimes thought to have been kind of like the birthplace of mankind. We talked about that in the Africa episode, how Africa was where, you know, everything kind of started. It's thought that it was around here. Gonna get down a little lower here just to kind of see what kind of trouble we can get into, see what this is all about. This is a pretty congested area, you know, lots of buildings and cars and stuff like that, so we might lose a few frames. Just keep that in mind. I'm gonna reduce our speed a bit, and we're just gonna kind of buzz over the building tops here. So yeah, this is, I mean, it's basically an ancient city. Like it's been around forever. It's exchanged hands so many times with so many different, you know, people and empires and stuff like that throughout history. It's got some of the oldest universities in the world, and it's just obviously, it has a lot of culture, both in like current days as well as like, you know, saving the culture from the old times. You know, a lot of really good food, and it's supposed to be a really, really cool place to visit. So I definitely would love to go do that at some point. Can't really travel at the moment. That's why we're here. And good old flight sim. Got a nice little, some sort of a stadium or something over there, it looks like. But we're coming up on a mosque here, the Al-Rafi Mosque. I'm going to butcher these names, so I'm sorry. Just fair warning ahead of time. Seeing lots of swimming pools out here, man. All the blue. That's another pool right there, right? It's got to be. Lots of, like, huge Olympic-sized swimming pools. Lots of sports arenas. There's a football pitch or a soccer field right there. Man, this is crazy. Look at all these buildings just stacked on top of each other, going up and down these massive, not mountains, but these are pretty serious hills. This is just definitely a very densely packed city on not the most forgiving terrain. So we're going to try to hit all these POIs as we go by. if they're an actual POI in the game, that means that they like took time to code it. It's not just a randomly generated building. So we should take the time to check it out. The Al Rifai Mosque. Rifai. We're getting close. I'm not sure. Look at this thing. It's just crazy to think how long some of these buildings have been around, you know what I mean? Just centuries, and for some even thousands of years. That is pretty cool. Take a look at it here. Look at that thing. Just a mega mosque. I'm sure every little piece of that is so intricate and so beautiful. I'll try to find some real pictures of it. Overlay them on screen. Gotta be careful about our wingtips here. We're good. We got plenty of clearance. So there's our first little point of interest. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of research on Cairo itself because I knew our main focus would be going to the pyramids. So we're gonna have to, you know, look to the comments for that. Maybe some of you guys have been, or some of you guys know a little bit more about it. I know this Egyptian museum is massive. I think it's supposed to be one of the biggest museums in that section of the world, and one of the biggest museums in the world, period. Bright sandy red, salmon pinky color there. Kind of an interesting one. Definitely looks pretty big. I don't know if that's the one that's one of the biggest in the world, but it could be. We've also got, we've got the Cairo Tower over here, which I have seen this before in photos and in history books and textbooks and stuff like that. Maybe not history books, but that thing is pretty cool looking. We've got a casino as a point of interest over here. Again, more swimming pools. They're all over the place. And now we are right above the Nile River. It runs from all the way up here and goes all the way down into Africa, which is kind of crazy. Go ahead and turn around here, try to buzz a little low, see what we can see if we can see anything down here in the Nile. See you later, alligator. We're flying above the Nile crocodile. I don't really know where I'm going with that. All right, cool. So we're going to turn southwest again, and we're going to start heading towards the pyramids. I believe, yeah, there's one more POI right here. Ooh, you can see the pyramids off in the distance. Dude, that is so crazy. That's just so cool. Supreme Council of Universities. They take their schooling very seriously out here. Like I said, they've got some of the oldest universities in the world. It's a pretty cool little green domed building there. I like that. All right, so we saw a few of the sights and sounds around Cairo there, but now we're gonna head towards Giza. So Giza is, or actually I think that might be in Giza. Giza's like on the opposite side of the river, kind of like very, very close to Cairo. I'm not sure where the cutoff is, but Giza's the third largest city in Egypt, and it's the home of the pyramids. So the area the pyramids are, you can call it like the, I believe though some people call it like the Giza Plateau, the Giza Pyramid Complex, the Giza Necropolis. So yeah, this is, you know, obviously a super well-protected historic area. It's been here for thousands and thousands of years. This one right here, the one closest to us, it doesn't look like it's the biggest, but it actually is. From some angles, that middle one looks a little bit bigger. I think it's built on higher ground, but this one right here is actually the biggest one. This right here is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's the first one that was there. It's one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, and it's the only one that's left. It was the first one that was like built and created, and it's the only one that's left. It's withstood the you know, sands of time. I think over time it's knocked off around 25 feet from it, but it still stands 147 meters tall, and for the longest time it was the highest man-made object in the world. It was built more than 2,500 years before the start of the current, like, you know, calendar. So it's just, I mean, this is miraculous that this thing was built, that it's still standing. Like that is just insane right there. So yeah, you guys can see we've got our 3 pyramids. There's one back there behind us. I feel like I'm in Assassin's Creed right now. Looks like we've got a bunch of tourist buses and stuff down there. And then all of this are just, you know, other little buildings and burial sites and you know, cemeteries and all kinds of stuff. Wow. I mean, this is incredible. Look at this one here with the little cap on it. That thing was gold in Assassin's Creed, and then we've got the smaller one over here. So these are actually, this is the main guy. This is his son. and then this is his grandson down here. When you look at it, it really looks like this middle one's the big one, but it's not. This one is the biggest one. I guess from here, it just kind of depends on which one you're closer to. This one kind of looks the most impressive, though, I'm not gonna lie, although, you know, technically this one is a little bit newer than this one. The story behind it is this one was the Pharaoh Khufu. Hopefully I said that right. It was built as a tomb. On the inside, it's got 3 burial chambers. It's got a bunch of little, like, mazes and labyrinths and these tight little corridors that go down into it and go into his tomb. And his tomb is this big, massive room that he had made to be able to, you know, have all of his treasures and belongings and stuff like that to go with him to the afterlife. Throughout the course of time, like long before we were ever around, it was looted. So plenty of people, you know, dating back to even like, you know, BC times had already taken everything from it. So he had his belongings stolen from him after death. Even his body was never actually recovered. But yeah, it was a big tomb. He had it made. I think it was him, and then like his queen or his like main wife or whatever was also in there. But then he also had a couple other little pyramids made. There should be some little ones, like maybe these, or no, these 3 right here. Those are for his other wives. So, dude was kind of a baller, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I can respect that. You're like, hey, put me in the big house. I want the big one. These other wives, you can just kind of make them a little outhouse in the backyard or something, is basically what he said. And it's so cool that throughout time, they protected all of this land around it. Like, I think there are a couple of little villages for some of the workers and the upkeep and stuff like that to make sure these things, you know, don't get messed with and climbed on and stuff, which there was one guy who did end up climbing to the top of it. I'll see if I can try to find that video, show you guys a little clip. But it's just cool how they kept it all very true to what it was originally. So one interesting fact about it is the coffer, they call it, or like the sarcophagus that he was in, like basically his coffin. It was so big, and it was one big solid slab of granite, I believe. It was so big that it would have been impossible for them to actually fit it in through the doors of the pyramid, or like down the tiny, like 3.5 foot tall, like corridors and stuff they have going down into it. So they believe that they built the pyramid around his sarcophagus. They basically, you know, set him up, they put him in there. I don't know if he was dead before it was finished or what, but they set the sarcophagus up, and then they built around it, and then they built the room around it and built the pyramid around that, which I thought was kind of interesting. In terms of actually building it, that is a complete mystery. Nobody has any idea how they did this. So these are made out of little like blocks of rock, not little blocks of rock, they're big blocks of rock, close to 2.5 million blocks that are massive and super heavy. How on earth did they do this back in the day without any technology? They didn't have like cranes and pulley systems and, you know, backhoes or anything like that. Like, how did they do it? They suspect it was some sort of like, you know, ramp system. But they look at how tall this is, and think about getting those giant blocks that literally cannot be carried by man all the way up there to be able to build this thing. It doesn't make sense. It's one of the great mysteries that we'll never actually find out how they did it. Let's go ahead and try to land here. Let's say that we landed next to the Great Pyramids of Giza. Come on, baby. Oh, we're coming in a little too hot, I think. Better hope we got some good brakes on this thing. Oh my goodness, dude. Look at that view. Can you imagine just taking your plane out here and landing it? Oh, that is insane. So you guys can see currently the color is kind of like this, you know, brownish sand type deal. So back in the day when they were brand new, they were actually like a white, almost reflective. They used this like limestone mixture that they painted all over it, so it would reflect the sun's rays and just look like, you know, godlike basically is what they were going for. Unfortunately, over time, obviously that wore off, and now, as you guys can see, they are kind of crumbling. I mean, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Obviously, we do have people that are working to try to keep them as nice as possible, but nothing can beat time. You know what I mean? Like, you can't perfectly save anything. So, dude, this view right here is crazy to me. Look at that. I'm actually gonna back it up a little bit. I'm gonna try to see if we can see all 3 of them. If we get up on this hill back here, something like that could be kind of interesting. Then we definitely have to go check out the Sphinx, which is right there behind us. We could just kind of taxi on over. I mean, I rented the place out for us today, guys. You don't got to worry about anything. You aren't paying an entrance fee. We're gonna get up close and personal. Wow, dude, that's pretty cool. All right, Let's go ahead and we're going to head on over towards the Sphinx here. So we're going to be careful. Don't want to end up taking off. We're going to try to get nice up close and personal. We could go into drone mode, but it's kind of fun thinking that we're like, you know, just chilling, driving over and seeing the pyramids here. This would be so insane. This would also be so illegal. You'd be arrested so quickly. Don't want to run into anybody's wife's tomb and mini pyramid, whatever. These guys are all, who knows how many wives they had, so got to be careful. Don't want to run into anything. Ooh, look at this guy here. Who's a pretty kitty. Just so crazy to think that they built all this back in the day. With very limited tools, very limited resources, limited technology, stuff like that. Look at the tour buses out here. Let me go ahead and get us turned around, and we're going to take a look at the Sphinx. That is so dope. Could even put the parking brake on. All right, we're good to go. So the Sphinx here, this is, I mean, obviously a mythological creature. It's the head of a lion and body of a human, I believe, and it's in kind of like this resting position. It was built back along in this time period. I believe the face is supposed to be modeled after that of Khafre, which is the sun, the middle, you know, pyramid here. So it kind of makes sense. It's kind of laying at rest, watching over, I guess, him and kind of defending him or something like that. I have no clue, but it's just a very unique statue. It's one of the earliest statues and oldest statues that were ever made that are known to mankind, and just obviously very, very cool. I mean, they came here and they decided to make all these cool, you know, pyramids in the middle of the desert with all these giant blocks that it seems almost impossible that anyone could ever make that. Even that one right there is ridiculous. And then they decided to make a really cool cat human in front of it as well, which is pretty awesome. We're going to go ahead and release our parking brake. We're going to take a bit of a right-hand turn here. Don't go anywhere yet. We are just about done with our tour, but not quite. So, if we go this way and we follow this main road back towards town, I believe all of this in here is kind of like the entry buildings and the tourism buildings and stuff like that. Right back here in this little intersection, roundabout, cul-de-sac type thing, I believe it's this building directly right here in front of us, is a Pizza Hut. One of the best views of the pyramids is from the balcony of the Pizza Hut. I don't think it gets any better than that. You're mixing ancient history with modern riches. There you guys have it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know where you guys want to go next. And I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace out.